Or he's like, riding a broomstick really hurts my cock. And you're like, great. Awesome. Uh-oh, who's back? Oh, I feel like something dislodged in my throat there. Obsessed, dying on camera, not clickbait. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carly. I always say that, but usually there's not new people here. There's like 20,000 new people here. No, like 40. That's like a lot to fathom for my brain. And here, I'm gonna level with you before we start today. Here's the thing. Mentally, I am fighting for my life right now. In my favorite film, and it is cinema, The Devil Wears Prada, Stanley Tucci's character has a line where he says, when your personal life is going to hell, that's when you know you're up for a promotion. Well, my version of that is when your mental health is going to hell, that's when you know you're about to hit 1 million views on a video. What the fuck? I never thought that the royal family would play a hand in my inevitable world domination, but here we are.
Hello, I thought we'd just take a quick break from today's video and discuss this week's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a virtual private network, which basically means that it encrypts all of your data as it travels between your device and the internet, which keeps you safe while you're browsing online. One of the ways that I love to use Surfshark is to travel the globe virtually. Surfshark has over 3,000 different servers in over 95 different countries. And through masking your IP address, you can use Surfshark to virtually travel the globe. This means you can unblock geo-restricted content like Netflix libraries, things like that, and also bypass censorship laws wherever you live. I use this, so when I go on Surfshark, I actually go to Netflix, and on the UK Netflix, they have Killing Eve, love Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and they don't have it on Netflix Canada. So, love that. Another thing that Surfshark does that I love is it helps you stay safe when browsing on public Wi-Fi. If you're like me and you love going to a cafe to do a little quirky study work moment and you use the cafe's public Wi-Fi, this public Wi-Fi is actually a goldmine for hackers and cyber criminals. When you enable Surfshark, it masks your IP address, basically allowing for you to stay anonymous when you're online, which keeps you safe. Surfshark also has a clean web feature which blocks malware, pop-ups, phishing attempts, things like that, which again just lets you surf the web safely. I love Surfshark, genuinely use it constantly. A VPN is a must, I would say, in these modern times. So if Surfshark VPN seems like the kind of thing that you'd be into, go to the description, click on the link, and use the code uncarley to get 83% off plus 3 months free of Surfshark VPN. Again, go to the link in my description below and use the code uncarley to get 83% off plus 3 extra months free of Surfshark VPN. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Love y'all. Let's get back into it.
So let's just get into it. I read Tom Felton or Draco Malfoy's book. He wrote a celebrity memoir called Beyond the Wand. So much there already. Already Beyond the Wand to me, it's a lot. So there's 3 sections here. The first section is like childhood. Then we have the section of Harry Potter, which is still technically childhood because he was basically on the set from like the age of 13 until he was like 19 or 20. And then post Harry Potter, like LA lifestyle that eventually led to like a downward mental health spiral and addiction problems. I'm not gonna clown on somebody's mental health struggles. Even I have my limits. I am a hater at my core. The way that I make sense of the world is by criticizing, which is toxic for sure. But it's like, I feel like everything can be joked about and everything is kind of stupid because like the concept of human life on earth is dumb. Like it's stupid that I'm here. This video is a cry for help. Final third of the book where he talks about his issues with mental health and addiction. I will recount because like the purpose of these videos is reading the entire book so you don't have to. But I'm not gonna joke about that because like even I understand that like we don't need to be doing that. But I feel no boundaries in terms of clowning on a child. That's free game. That's open season for me. Obviously, the publisher or the editor or whoever told Tom Felton to write this book was like, listen, you're famous for being in Harry Potter. You need to just write about Harry Potter and insert as much Harry Potter lingo as you possibly can. I know you're a grown man, but like if you can call regular people muggles every 3rd page, that would be awesome. Like if you read this book, take a shot every time he says muggles, die of alcohol poisoning immediately. I wish the book wasn't him being like, I get it, he's writing this for fans of Harry Potter, and if you're a fan of Harry Potter, I guess you would enjoy that. I mean, like, I read the Harry Potter books, I've seen all the movies, fuck J.K. Rowling. Like, in a depressive episode last year, I read like a 500,000 word Harry Potter fan fiction. And that's all I'll say on that. I get the references. I could do without him calling his colleagues Gryffindorks. I could. Like, I don't need to read the word Gryffindor 100% genuinely serious. I don't need that. You know how when you start a book, you're like, okay, I have to start kind of like in a moment. Where are we like starting this story? Like, Tom Felton went, okay, we're going to start with a story where my friends dare me to steal a pornographic video. I walk around a video store for an hour and then I get caught and I don't steal porn. And then you're like, okay, this is weird, but like maybe there's a moral to this. And he just says, if I was more Slytherin, maybe I'd be able to do it. He's basically like, if I had a little bit more Slytherin cunning in me, maybe I'd be able to steal the porn. Slytherin to me now is the house of porn addiction. So like Slytherin is porn addiction. Gryffindors are addicted to huffing glue. Hufflepuffs do the choking game. We had a bunch of seminars in my school where it was like, kids all around the world are choking each other to get high. And it's like, I wasn't, but now you put the idea in my head. Ravenclaws drink hand sanitizer. That's their vices. Moving on. So Tom, in the very beginning, decides to break down in his childhood chapters his family. He grew up with 3 older brothers. And let me just say, reading this book, like, he gives me kid with older brother vibes. In elementary school, I feel like we all knew the kid who had 3 older brothers and he was a menace to society. In PE, he would, if you were put on his team, he'd be like, oh, we have to have Carly on our team. She can't even throw a ball. And you're like, I am trying to survive here. Something that I really actually enjoyed about this book is that he has like a pretty good level of accountability, like an ability to recount stories in which he is truly a childhood menace and be like, that was not cool of me. His second oldest brother, Chris, and him were like buddies. And Chris was his chaperone on the 3rd Harry Potter movie. We're only like 50 pages in on the book and it's already iconic. They talk about fishing so much. This book has so much about not fishing, specifically carping, which is catching a carp. And carps are big fish. There seemed no doubt that Chris would have become the most famous Felton. His claim to fame? He was one of England's most up-and-coming carp anglers. There is a tight-knit community of these carp anglers, and among them Chris was very much one to watch. He made the cover of Carp Talk and Big Carp magazine several times for catching famous fish in famous lakes. So there's, first of all, carp media. He's like an up-and-coming it girl nepotism baby in the carp media space. And Tom Felton is obsessed with carping, and his brother is too. Like, is there a fish carping Met Gala? Are there like carp tubers? Are people in the carping community canceled? So there's layers of questions I have about carp media. When his brother was chaperoning him, they would leave set at 8 p.m., drive over an hour from the studios straight on down to the local fishery. We'd set up our tent, cast our rods, and enjoy a night of fishing. Then at 6 in the morning, we'd reel back in, pack up our gear, head back slightly muddy to set, and pretend to the nice people at Warner Brothers that I'd been home sleeping soundly all night. So if you think that Draco occasionally looked a little pale, it wasn't just the makeup department. We were obsessed with the fish, of course, but we were even more obsessed with everything that went with them. The moon, the stars, the proximity of nature, the rods, the reels, the bivvies, and of course the boilies. Boilies are a type of fish bait the size of a large marble that you cook up in a kitchen with all kinds of disgusting foul-smelling flavors like squid liver and double monster crab. Items that wouldn't be out of place in a potions lesson. See, he wants to just talk about fish because his publishers are like, you're from Harry Potter, remember? He can't like talk about it. He has to be like, and that's fucking, I love fish and the smell of fish is not out of place in a potions lesson, I guess. It's like, just let the boy tell his story. Also, there are these iconic pictures of Tom Felton fishing with these big ass carp. The amount that this book was about carp, I was not prepared for. In addition to carping, I am not kidding you when I say that Beavis and Butthead comes up in this book 4 or 5 times as well. Talking about one of his other brothers. And he does the thing that I am obsessed with, which is when people brand their sense of humor unique when it's fully about popular media. Ash and I share a very particular sense of humor. We were forever watching The Simpsons or Beavis and Butthead together. And like The Simpsons is like the most popular show of all time. Like it's been on the air for what, 30 years? I don't know. I guess I like really underground music. Like, I don't know. I don't really love like Dua Lipa. I'm kind of like more of a fan of the Beatles. Like, have you ever heard of the Beatles because they're like a niche band that only I like. Like, people want to be different so bad. You don't have to say you're weird. You can just be like, I like fucking Beavis and Butthead. And he does. It comes up 9 million times. There was also another one where he was auditioning to be in a commercial with Mr. Bean, and he clowns on this child actor that he was auditioning with so hard. And it's like funny as a kid to hate another kid in an audition. It's funnier for adult Tom Felton to be like, I need to write in my memoir a section in which I clown on a child. I must. So basically the point of the audition is like they have to open a door and be surprised that Mr. Bean is there, right? The girl though seemed kind of kooky. She turned to the casting people, said, "Are we allowed to faint?" "I think we'd rather you didn't faint," one of them said. She looked a bit crestfallen, but she nodded and the scene started. We were both miming opening the door, and then, before I could react at all, at the very top of her voice, the kooky girl inexplicably screamed, "Mother Goose!" and she hit the floor like a toppled tree, which is iconic to say the least. Like, here's the thing. Tom Felton is down here. He's kind of like he's playing checkers. This girl, she's Beth from the Queen's Gambit, 40 chests on the ceiling on tranquilizers. Like, she's camp. She's going for her Oscar. She's trying to bring comedy and drama to the situation. So then, as like an 11-year-old, he starts auditioning for the Harry Potter films. A really interesting kind of theme you'll notice when he's talking about auditioning for the movies is he is not like other kids, because he doesn't like Harry Potter. All the other kids love Harry Potter, but he's like, I didn't care about it. Honestly, I didn't give a fuck about Harry Potter. And like one mention of this, even to I'm fine with, because I do think it is like interesting being like, oh, I didn't like really read the books or care that much. But he mentions it like every second page. And I'm like, homie, this is a book called Beyond the Wand. You refer to yourself as Draco several times. You refer to your acting career as your wizarding career. You refer to your full family as your muggle family. Like, if we are capitalizing off of the Harry Potter fans, the Potterheads as it were, maybe we don't need to like dunk on them by being like, it's crazy because like other kids loved Harry Potter and I didn't really give a fuck. I like carp. You know what I mean? Like, I loved fishing and carp, and stupid kids loved little orphan wizard. I distinctly remember during my last couple of months that there would be a half-hour period after lunch when the teacher would sometimes read us a story aloud. One day he chose some book about a boy wizard living under the stairs. Truth to tell, it wouldn't have mattered much what he was reading. I would have had the same reaction, which was, give it a rest, mate. A boy wizard? Not my cup of tea. Then he starts auditioning for the Harry Potter movies and he doesn't care about Harry Potter. It soon became clear, however, from the auditioning process at least, that there were differences. These were open auditions. I've been asked by my agents to go along, but the vast majority of kids had turned up because they loved the Harry Potter books. Whereas all the other kids were wildly excited about the process of being in a film and clearly knew the book inside out, I was the complete opposite. Then they go through a part in the audition where Christopher Columbus, the director of the first 2 films, is like getting to know them. And he asks them, say what part of the books you're excited to see in the movies. I had no idea what anybody was talking about. Who was Hagrid? What was a Quidditch? My neighbor announced that he was most excited to see Gringotts, and I thought to myself, what the hell are they? Some kind of flying animal, maybe? There was no time to find out. Chris Columbus turned to me. What bit of the books are you most looking forward to seeing, Tom? I stalled and pointed to the Gringotts guy. Same as him, mate, I said, making a little flapping motion with my arm. Can't wait to see those Gringotts. You mean you're looking forward to seeing Gringotts the bank? Columbus said. Oh yeah, the bank. Can't wait. So he's like, what you don't understand is like he's not like other kids because he loves carp. Then we're really getting into like his menace era, which I talked about before, where he seems to be genuinely pretty good friends with Emma Watson, who plays Hermione. That does not stop him from being so mean to her throughout the entire series. As a child, he was so mean to her, and it like actually when I was reading this like hurt my chest so much. So they're doing like screen tests and he's in the screen test and so is young Emma Watson. Keep in mind, I think he was like 11 or 12 at this time and she was 9. A young curious girl approached me. She had brown frizzy hair and couldn't have been more than 9 years old. She pointed at the boom mic. What's that? She asked. I glanced up at it. I might even have sneered a little. It means they're recording us, obviously. I turned my back on her and wandered off, leaving the little girl to gaze wide-eyed around the room. I later found out that her name was Emma Watson. It was her first time in a film environment, and I don't know whether anybody overheard our little exchange, but if they did, they definitely would have seen a little bit of Slytherin in me. I feel bad for him. I feel like he wrote a normal book, and they were like, we hear you, Tom, and we love it. We really love what you're writing here. You need to add Slytherin 9 more times in the book. He also tells a story at a different point about when he was on a film set, he did a big split and hit his fucking penis on a big balance beam. There's something about memoirs that makes people feel a need to overshare about their penis and or vagina beyond reproach. And I don't want to hear it. Like, Prince Harry talked about his traumatized cock too much. Then after the movies came out, he had this, what I thought was a very interesting chapter about the abuse he suffered because he was a villain. People just thought he was a child Nazi, basically, and were screaming at him on the street. He did it kind of in like script format because, again, this is a movie about film. You know, like, this is about film. It's gotta be multimedia, breaking the walls of what literature is. Kid: hey, are you Draco? Tom: yeah. Kid, angrily: you were a real dick. Tom, perplexed: huh? Kid: I said you were a real dick. And then a woman yells at him, which is more insane because, like, a child, I understand not really understanding the kind of blurred lines between a character and an actor. But like an adult, you should know. Steely woman: why are you such a dick to Harry? Can't you just stop being such an asshole to him? I'm not joking. You don't have to be so evil to some poor guy who's lost his parents. And then he talks about other fan encounters. At one point, this one is like the beginning of a true crime documentary, like the beginning of every single episode of Criminal Minds to me. A chap in America had legally changed his name to Lucius Malfoy and the name of his house to Malfoy Manor. He wanted me to change my name to Draco Malfoy and go live with him. My mom kindly declined the offer on my behalf. Only in hindsight do I realize that could have been a tad sinister. A Spanish family, 2 parents, 2 kids, turned up at my muggle school one day. They just went straight in and started looking for me. Like, again, that's already a scary thing. I do not need you to insert the word muggle in there. Why? Why are you saying turn up to your muggle school? I know what your school is. He got bullied at school for being Draco. They would call him Harry Potter Wanker and the Broomstick Prick. Then he one day got jumped when he was fishing, because what else does he do? He's an actor, he's Draco, and he fishes. A crowd of about 40 kids came into view. I felt a shard of ice in my stomach. I didn't know these kids. They were perhaps a couple years older than me, but I was sufficiently streetwise to interpret their intentions. It was a mob of bored youths from the area, amusing themselves by marauding the street and causing trouble. So it's kind of like a pack of roving children, which again, I relate to. I am a full-grown woman. I know that like the horse sweatshirt might be misleading, but like I am an adult woman. And if I see a pack of teenagers on the street, I will cross the other side. I'm terrified of teenagers. One time I was in a Brandy Melville. The employee was there. She could have not been more than 16. She did this to me. And I was like, I have to leave. I'm being bullied by children. I kept my head down and tried to disappear behind my friends. I figured that in a situation like this, they wouldn't want to be associated with the Harry Potter Wanker and would do what they could to keep me out of the mob's line of sight. A few of the boys picked up my fishing rods and threw them into the lake, by which time the rest of them had worked out who I was. Then his older brother comes, saves the day. Don't worry, they don't murder him. My life was good, but it was also occasionally scary. When I was 15, someone stole my bike from the school bike shed. Whoever took it left a note saying, "We know where you live, we've got our eyes on you, and we're going to kill you." Like, maybe we're not going to threaten a child. I know in the beginning of this video, I literally said I want to clown on a child today. But like, are we going to threaten to murder a child? Like, that's what we're landing on? Sorry, my neighbor came home. Shirley heard me screaming the words, "We're going to murder a child." That's what we landed on. So then when he talks about filming, this is a story where he truly traumatized Emma Watson, and it made me so upset. There was a definite Gryffindor-Slytherin divide in the early days. 2 cliques that kept their distance from each other. The main 3 were squeaky clean. We weren't. The main 3 came from well-educated backgrounds. Sure, I hardly had a rough life. Earlier in this book, he talks about how he literally went to private school, but as we know from these memoirs, there's nothing that a celebrity loves more than denying the privilege they came from, you know? I suppose we thought we were a bit cooler. We spent our free time listening to rap. Wu-Tang, Tupac, Biggie. So when the word reached Josh and me that 9-year-old Emma had put together a little dance show in her dressing room that she wanted to present to us at lunchtime, we were predictably dismissive. We laughed our way down to Emma's show, and they grew louder as she danced. We were just being shitty boys, largely out of awkwardness and because we thought taking the piss was cool, but Emma was visibly upset by our thoughtless reaction. I did feel like a bit of a dick, and rightly so. Like, that sucks. I hate that. This is the part of the chapter where he just starts saying Gryffindor a bunch. He says, "As in every golfing contest we've ever had, the Weasleys won. Bloody Gryffindorks. Any Slytherin-Gryffindor rivalry is long forgotten." Like, I'm just begging you to stop using the word Gryffindor. I do not need to see it. Then comes the chapter where he talks about how much he loves to smoke weed. He loves smoking weed. I do believe that he smoked weed, but he also does talk about smoking weed like he is a cop. He talks about it like he's an undercover cop. 21 Jump Street core Chris introduced me to marijuana, the forbidden fruit, and it was of course referenced in every rap song I'd ever listened to. So it perhaps wasn't a total surprise that I should take his introduction to the devil's lettuce and run with it. Then the Harry Potter films end. He has a big problem. He goes to LA and he loses himself. I loved this sentence where he says, I even found myself wondering if I wouldn't be happier ditching the acting to become a professional angler. Again, we love fish. Men love fish. I feel like if I saw Tom Felton's dating profile, it would be 9 photos of him holding up different fish. He talks about how much he got free shit, again, which I'm like, I just don't, it just seems like bragging, like it's supposed to be like, LA is so fake. You get so many free things and I lost myself, but you're just like, Arr! It started with clothes. People would give me designer clothes. For nothing? For nothing. Awesome. I moved on to cars. I met somebody who looked after BMW's VIP fleet. Never in my life had I considered myself to be a VIP. Suddenly I was one, and apparently they'd lend me different cars seemingly whenever I wanted them. Because that's what happens when you're a movie star. My world became one of crazy opportunity. Elaborate nights out, and there's no other way of putting it, cool free shit. I enjoyed it. I mean, who wouldn't? I missed my old life. I missed fishing by the lake with Chris. I missed watching Beavis and Butthead with Ash. Then his team corners him and forces him to go to rehab. Like there's an intervention that happens. He's pissed about it. What do you want me to do? I pleaded. We want you to go into treatment, the interventionist said. Rehab? Rehab. The one thing you should know about California rehabilitation clinics, they're expensive. Some can charge upward of $40,000 a month, but he does do it. He goes to rehab. He gets kicked out of rehab for having a relationship with somebody in the facility. He has a good couple of years where he reconnects with his roots, becomes kind of a beach bum, does charity work, feels a lot happier. Then his mental health declines again, and then the book kind of ends. I think this is like what happens when you like write a memoir at like 27, like because you haven't experienced the full story yet. Like the book just ends and you're like, okay. He has like an afterwards where he's like, now it's okay. I know it seemed like my mental health was bad, but I'm in a play now, which is theater kid vibes. Like that was me in high school. I was like, yeah, I might be clinically depressed, but it's okay because I'm in the school spring play. All in all, it was a fun book to read. I think if you're a fan of Harry Potter, like go for it. I wish it was more of a focus on his struggle with mental health and addiction. Those chapters I didn't joke about because they were good. I was interested in them. I thought that they were well done. The ones where he's like, riding a broomstick really hurts my cock, and you're like, great. Awesome. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you like this video. All of my shit is in the description below. My Instagram, my TikTok, all of that fun stuff. I'll see you soon. Bye.